Hello, my beautiful friends. I am Laurel Bleadon-Maffei with Illuminating Souls, welcoming you to this episode of Sleepy Bedtime Blessings, a podcast designed to help you rest, relax, and fall asleep, all while deepening in your connection with your beautiful team of angels who love you so. If we're meeting for the first time, allow me to introduce myself. I am an angelic practitioner, a spiritual teacher, and an encourager of souls. And I offer one-on-one angel sessions, a longer form of support, soul mentoring, and a variety of classes designed to inspire your spirit. I offer a new class or a new group about every 6 weeks or so there's always an opportunity to jump in. And one of the things I love so much about teaching and facilitating is the beautiful community we have. So if you are looking for your people, if you are looking to meet others who live in the light from their hearts, I invite you to consider joining us for one of the classes I have coming up. And you can learn more at my website, illuminatingsouls.com, where you can also sign up for my mailing list, and then you'll receive all of my class announcements. And if you are one of our loyal listeners who has been here for a while, I want to say thank you for being here. I love getting to come to the microphone knowing that you are there listening, and we get to keep each other company for the next hour or so. I do have a small request. If you would consider, please, leaving a rating and a review on iTunes, that would be wonderful. But for now, the angels and I are here to help you come into just a beautiful, sweet, nourishing, nurturing space where you can replenish and come into your center. So this podcast is a mashup of two of my favorite forms of self-care, which are connecting with the angels. It is absolutely a part of what keeps me centered and in alignment. And then the other is listening to a sleep podcast every night as I am falling asleep. I've been doing this for many years now, and I love the ritual of going to bed. I love my waking life, but there is something just so delicious about the end of the day when I get to crawl into the bed under the covers, especially right now because it's cooler in the evenings. And my husband and I both love to sleep when it's cooler, so we have lots of blankets on the bed, and I love curling up with the pillows and the blankets, and then I put in my earbuds and I pick a sleep podcast to listen to. I don't have a specific one I'm listening to right now. I just sort of see what appeals to me in the moment. And I'm happy to report to you that my own podcast helps me fall asleep. So we have over 250 episodes in the archive, and there's lots of content for you, different kinds of episodes. So I love to go back and listen to the older ones as well. So lots of ways that we can support you. And in addition to this being a sleep podcast, I acknowledge that many of you listen in your waking hours. So we get to keep you company as you go about your day. So whenever and however you choose to listen, I am grateful you are here. And I appreciate you choosing to listen and let us spend some time together. So the way each episode is structured is the first 15 to 20 minutes or so, I ramble, I try to weave in some sort of spiritual insight, but nothing too heavy. And then I bring the angels in, and they're already here. So we get some time with the angels. And then for the rest of the episode, we go into story time. And story time might be stories from my own life. We might flip through the pages of an old cookbook or an old TV guide or something that's in the public domain. So when I go to record these episodes, I just sort of listen to my heart and see what intrigues me, where I feel like I want to go as the narrator of this podcast. So I don't plan too far ahead. I'm very fortunate that the format of this podcast is in alignment with a sense of spontaneity. There are some podcasts that I listen to, and I can appreciate that they invest many, many hours in preparing for the podcast. But for me, I just plug in the mic and I go. So I'm lucky in that way. So I invite you to get comfortable. Take some nice deep breaths in and out. And I acknowledge you're among friends here. I so appreciate that we have an opportunity to connect in this way. One of the things I have noticed is, as I get older, it seems to be a little bit of a different experience, meeting people and building community. And I never would have imagined that I would feel such a sense of intimacy and community with people that I haven't even met. Because in this podcast, we're connecting in our hearts. We're sharing a soul connection. And I feel you. Like I feel the sweetness of our community. I feel the sweetness of you. And that fills my heart with so much love, and I hope it does for you as well. So as I record this, it is early morning. I am doing my best to come back to my old routine that was when my husband would leave for work, which is about 6 a.m., I would just come right back to the microphone and start recording an episode. But in recent months, I have allowed myself to just ramble and wander and do other things. And there are other things I enjoy, whether it's scrolling through social media, watching television, answering emails. I would start doing other things, and then the impetus to record the podcast would get pushed back and back and back some more until I was like, oh, it's too late. I don't want to do it now. And so I'm so proud of myself. It is early morning, and here I am with you. And what I love about this time of day is it is still very quiet. And I just don't mean audibly quiet. I mean energetically quiet. The sun has not yet come up, so it's still dark out. There feels like there is a sweetness in the energy that I can feel into. Whereas when I try to record these episodes later, once I'm more awake and the world is more awake, it feels like it takes a little bit more effort to come into this quiet, sacred space. But right now it's here, and I'm grateful to share it with you. So I'm going to invite the angels in to be with us. They're already here, but I can feel them here in the energy field. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to share them with you. So I'm going to invite you to take some nice deep breaths in and out as we gently call ourselves forward into the heart of God. And beautiful angels on high, I ask you to join us here. I know you are already here. And I ask that you infuse this broadcast with waves of love and goodness and kindness and inspiration. I ask that you bring forward healing light and lightness of spirit. So, dear ones, just take some more nice deep breaths in, and with your permission, the angels will bring their energy closer to you. I always say with your permission because it is important that you always understand that you have dominion over your energy field. And from the angel's perspective, it is an honor and a blessing to be invited into your field. So we always say, with your permission, they will approach your energy field, and they do so very gently. And as they arrive, they fill the space you are in with a beautiful, soft, sweet light that is filled with love that has been calibrated just for you. That the angels know what you're going through. They know your heart. They know your challenges. And they are here to support you. And so they are bringing you an energy attunement right now that has been cultivated just for you, that even if there are many listening to this broadcast, each one of you is receiving your own special blend of divine light right now to support you and help you clear that which is not yours, to help you come into your authentic self, and so much more. And if you have prayers and intentions that you would like to share with the angels, you can bring this into your heart now. You can bring this into your heart at any time, but I think sometimes our personality self appreciates the opportunity to be invited forward in sacred space. So bring whatever is on your heart into the light here, where the angels will meet you. And just keep breathing as this beautiful love travels to every cell of your body, every thought in your mind, and every emotion in your heart. Every molecule of you is loved. There is no part of you that is left behind or left out. It's not uncommon when I'm doing an angel session for someone that they might make a side comment along the lines of, oh, my angels must be so disappointed in me, or my angels must get tired of me asking for things. And I was just laugh and say, absolutely not. The angels, you can't outwork them. You can't out-ask them. They know how challenging life on the earth plane can be. You will never disappoint your angels. They will never be annoyed with you. I promise, heart and soul, that this is true. They love you, and they're here for you. They are team you. And they love you even when you don't feel lovable. Even if there are times that you cannot love yourself, they still love you. It's like the sun shining. The sun shines whether you go out into the sunlight or not. It is there. And God's love is much, much, much more powerful than the sun. So we invite you to bathe in the love, to affirm that it is here for you, that it is washing you clear, that it is helping you remember who you are as a divine beloved of this universe. and that your destiny is bright and true, that you carry within your heart gifts and abilities, wisdom and love that is spectacular, and that we are blessed that you are here with us. And I am so grateful for the gift of you. So if you are preparing for sleep, I invite you to cozy on up and snuggle on in and drift off whenever your consciousness is ready to let go. And if these are your waking hours, then please stay awake and I will endeavor to be very good company for you and keep you mildly amused, but not so riveted that those of you who want to sleep cannot sleep. It's the beautiful thing of a sleep podcast is the bar's rather low. I get to ramble and I get to meander. I guess meandering and rambling are the same thing. And I get to not come to the point too quickly. And I don't have to share anything vitally important with you that you have to learn and pay attention to. But I will do my best to keep you amused. So I love you, and let's mosey on into story time. And I really don't think we get to use the word mosey enough in life, so moseying we will do. So for story time, we are going to go to an old book from 1875. It is Traveling and Its Requirements Addressed to Ladies. Now, I already read a little bit of this about a year ago, but I'm fascinated by this topic. And so we're going to read a little bit more. So before we get started, a couple of things. My first snippet is to ask if you have spent any time on Google Books looking up antiquarian books and magazines. It's a treasure trove of fascinating publications on everything you can imagine. So if you have a special interest, maybe go check out Google Books and search by subject and see what you can come up with. The traveling for women, especially in that time period, fascinates me. So a couple of disclaimers about myself. When I was younger, I loved to travel, and now I do not. I would say I have formed some mild travel anxiety. And I don't know it's that I don't feel safe. I think it's more that I love my home. I love being home. I love the energy of our home because I live with my husband, and when he is here with me, it's even better. So I love when the two of us are home and the energy is beautiful, and I have all my stuff. So if I need something, it's right there. And I think right now for me with traveling, everything is different, right? Everything is changed. And I don't like that too much these days. Anyways, we're not going to make this about my desire not to travel right now. Instead, I'd like to talk about what it might have been like to have to travel or decide to travel in 1875, especially for the ladies. Why would they have different requirements? Well, certainly socially, there were different norms, different requirements than men had. And certainly in terms of clothing and packing and what we needed to take along was very, very different. Because in 1875, we had to wear a lot of things. A corset or a girdle and different skirts and petticoats and hats, and oh my God, I get exhausted just reading about it. I am definitely a comfort-driven person. Comfy, cozy clothes. yet I'm still fascinated by this. There are many things I enjoy reading about and watching content about that I never want to do myself, but I really enjoy watching others, like the show Survivor. No part of me ever wants to go to a deserted island somewhere with nothing and have to survive. I would last 2 minutes and then I would say, forget it. I changed my mind. I'm done. The first mosquito would bite me and I'd be like, yeah, no. Take me to the fluffy hotel, please. So we're going to come back to this book and we're going to pick up in the part of the book where the author, a woman, where she is talking to us about how to prepare to travel to America because she is based in London. So we're going to find out what it might take for someone in the UK back in 1875 to travel to America. So we start, as it will be quite the fashion during the summer season of 1876 to pay a visit to the exhibition to be held in the city of Philadelphia. Adding a consequent tour through the United States, I think a few special hints on outfit and necessaries for this voyage will be acceptable to my readers. So this must be the World Exposition that was held in Philadelphia in 1876. And of course, it being 1876 or 1875, the only way to get from Europe to America is by boat, by ship. There's a difference between a boat and a ship, but a very large ship. So, even in summer, it is never warm enough on the northern Atlantic to dispense with furs and warm wraps. Okay, she's going to be talking about different kinds of furs here, and I'm going to skip that part because that just makes me sad. So stuff I'm skipping, but to dress warm is basically what she's saying. For the sea voyage, choose a simple dress of soft, warm tweed, of a dark gray color, made in the princess form and buttoned down the front from the neck. The skirt must be furnished with pockets on either side, made deep enough to hold little things likely to be required whilst lying on the berth, such as a few pocket handkerchiefs, smelling bottle, eau de cologne, small brush and comb, scissors, etc. A more stylish dress must be worn for landing. Very warm underclothing is indispensable. Indeed, a flannel suit, V-I-Z, I don't know what that means. Is that vis-a-vis, perhaps? Drawers, chemise, and petticoat should be worn both night and day. Petticoats should, if possible, be made with shoulder straps or attached to a garment suspender. I have worn one bought at Hope's, 61 New Bond Street, London, West, and find it exceedingly comfortable at all times whilst traveling, and more especially during seasickness, when all bands should be avoided, it being very injurious to health to have the waist tightened when in a recumbent position. Okay, well, that just sounds miserable, but okay, I appreciate her wanting us to be comfortable. Very easy boots for stateroom wear, and over the shoes for deck promenade, perhaps. American ladies dress very expensively and in the latest European fashion. Therefore, care must be taken that all costumes be made in a thoroughly stylish manner and the quality be unexceptionable. For a stay of 3 months, I should suggest taking 2 traveling costumes, one for sea voyage, one for inland railway journeys, 2 handsome black silk dresses, one untrain, one walking length, one light silk of some pretty soft shade made with low bodice to wear under high dresses of thin material, which can be varied, such as black silk grenadine, white ditto, white Indian muslin, Hamburg net, black lace, etc. These will be required for dinners, theaters, and small receptions. In America, as in Paris, everyone wears high dresses except for opera and balls. One afternoon toilette, a brown silk foliard skirt and sleeves with cream-colored damask silk overdress would form a pretty style for this. 2 foliard costumes, it's Foulard. I don't know what kind of fabric that is. Simply made and trimmed for morning wear. A black silk velvet jacket and a black lace shawl will be found invaluable. It is advisable to take a good supply of boots, gloves, and millinery of every description, 2 or 3 pretty bonnets suitable for fêtes and theaters, and a change of hats. No jewelry should be worn on the sea voyage, but a few good ornaments should be taken to match dresses for land wear. It is a good plan to wear everything once before starting, so as to avoid custom house duties, as these are very high in America. Consequently, all clothing, and in fact every article required for the toilette, is much dearer there than in Europe. And now she is talking about tour round the world. The foregoing tours I have suggested for those persons who have only a few weeks' leisure. In this chapter, I propose a more stupendous, I love that word, stupendous, I'm going to have to use that word more often, undertaking for all who have money and time at their command, nothing less than a tour round the world, in all caps. This looks at first sight very startling, but I hope to show how very easily, even by ladies, this truly grand tour may be made without more than usual risk and fatigue of ordinary excursions. In the year 1872, Mr. Thomas Cook started on what he himself describes as the greatest tour of his traveling life, with the highly commendable intention of surmounting all difficulties and to form such arrangements, by the way, that for the future this circuit of 25,000 miles should be as easily and pleasantly made as a short trip to the continent. By God's blessing, this great journey was safely accomplished, and Mr. Cook has now the proud satisfaction of feeling that, by his courage, patience, perseverance, thousands may travel safely and comfortably in the lands hitherto only known to the mass by tradition and by the stories of a brave few men who have risked their lives in the cause of science. Wow, that's interesting, this desire to go around the world, especially back then when it wasn't a well-known commodity. These days, if we want to travel abroad, we can watch YouTube videos, we can read about it, we have friends who've gone, but back then, you might not know anybody who's ever been to some of these places. So we'll continue. To the very large number of ladies who have bountiful means, but whose sphere of action is limited and insufficient, and those whose daily complaint is lack of occupation, I say, make this tour, and see for yourselves the condition of our brethren in foreign lands, so that on returning you can use your powerful influence in forwarding missionary work, and be able to speak all the more eloquently in this righteous cause from personal experience of even a short duration. To the young, the advantages offered are infinite. On such a tour, the mind must be enlarged, the ideas elevated, and the general education of the senses completed. I will now state how and at what cost this circuit can be made. To do this thoroughly, I cannot do better than to give an abstract of a program sent to me by Messrs. Cook of a proposed personally conducted party arranged to start from Liverpool on the 28th of August, 1875 for New York. On the 13th, leave New York for Philadelphia. 16 days to be spent in America, visiting all the principal points of interest, Niagara Falls, Salt Lake City, etc. On September 29th, leave Salt Lake for San Francisco. On October 1st, sail for Yokohama. This sail takes about 24 days. On December 27th, sail from Yokohama for the inland sea of Japan, arriving at Shanghai in about 7 days. Time of leaving Shanghai a little certain, but expect to arrive at Hong Kong in time to go up to Canton, and then resume voyage from Hong Kong on November 25th as to reach Singapore on December 1st. I also should mention that since this is written in 1875, they're using, or they may use, names of places that have since changed, and I mean no disrespect by reading the names as they're written here. So I just wanted to mention that. Singapore is to be left on the 2nd, proceeding through the Straits of Malacca to Penang, and from thence to Point de Galle, Ceylon, right, that's it, Ceylon, Ceylon. Calcutta will be reached about January 9th. If practicable, a call will be made at Madras, situated about midway between Point de Galle and Calcutta, but this depends entirely upon the state of the sea, the surf being frequently too rough to admit of landing. On January 14th, leave Calcutta for Benares, the holy city of the Hindus. 1 clear day here, and on the 17th, depart for Agra. Leave Agra on the 20th, reaching Delhi in the evening, and 3 days are allowed in Delhi and its locality. Leave Delhi on January 24th for Cawnpore. On the 26th, Cawnpore for Lucknow, 3 hours by railway. Return to Cawnpore, it's Cawnpore, and proceed in the evening of the same to Allahabad. Again, I'm so sorry. I don't know if these are still names of cities or if they've changed, or countries, so I'm going to just do my best to keep going. On the 26th, go to Jubbulpore. 1 day there, leave on the 31st for Bombay. 6 days to be spent in Bombay, which of course now is Mumbai, and it was always Mumbai. It just had been changed by the English. And on February 7th, leave for Aden and Suez. Arrive at Suez on February 20th. 21st, take railway to Cairo. This is a lot, right? At Cairo, arrangements can be made for a trip to the Nile and for Palestine. Of course, that is now a hotbed of conversation, which may occupy from 1 to 2 months according to the route selected. But for those who do not wish to ascend the Nile or go into Palestine, the following route is proposed. Leave Cairo for Alexandria on the 26th, the 27th to be spent in Alexandria. On the 28th, sail for Brindisi. Reach Brindisi on March 3rd and proceed the same night to Naples. 3 days at Naples and go to Rome. On the 7th, spend 4 days in Rome and reach Florence. On the 12th, leaving on the 15th for Turin, and on the 17th, leave Turin for Paris, and after a week's rest there, reach London on March 24th. The cost of the whole round the world amounts to about £325 English, including first-class railway and steamboat accommodations, also baggage not exceeding £100 from London to Brindisi, and £60 from Brindisi to London. Sleeping cars on American and Indian railways, extra tickets from Salt Lake, from Hong Kong to Canton and back, from Allahabad to Delhi and back, also railway for one day from Yokohama to Yedo and back, but not street carriages called rickshaws, neither for any carriages in towns and cities, nor fees and gratuities to stewards of steamers or hotel servants. Hotel accommodation for 100 days in America, Japan, China, India, Egypt, and Europe, baggage and omnibus transfer between railways and hotels while with the conductor. By combining the outfit suggested for America with that for the south of France, adding a proportionate amount of underclothing and one extra woolen costume for steamboat wear, all real wants will be supplied, and on such a tour superfluities must be done without. For the information of ladies residing in the country or abroad, I here mention that Madam Hope, 61, New Bond Street, London, may be safely entrusted with the arrangement of a suitable outfit for this or any other tour. She has great taste and judgment in selecting suitable costumes for all occasions. So I have a question for you. If you were to time travel and exist in 1875, would you want to take a tour like that? Would that have appeal to you? I don't know that I would have. You know what intimidates me just looking at all of that from the consciousness that I have now is my physical comfort, because there are so many garments that have to be worn. And some of these places are so hot. I can't imagine having to wear all of the ladies' garb and be in India, or travel to Africa, or Turkey, or any of these places to go to the deserts in all of this European finery that women were required to wear back then. I just can't imagine I would be a nice person. But that's me right now, and everything is for my comfort. Like, I need everything to be comfortable. Maybe that wouldn't have mattered to me that much because I would have grown used to wearing these kinds of clothes. We're now going to go into a section about what the little ones might mean, the little travelers. So for boys or girls over 4 years, oh my God, making this journey with little kids who probably were better behaved back then. And in all likelihood, if we have the money to go around the world, there are nannies and governesses involved. I could only imagine. So for boys or girls over 4 years, there is no material to equal serge for wear when traveling or for the seaside. Pretty little dresses may be made with plain skirt, trimmed with graduated braid, either white or colored, and a princess polonaise, I don't know what that is, but it sounds lovely, made in one piece from the neck, braided to match, and buttoned down the front with pearl buttons. For hot days, the skirt would look well under Holland polonaise, trimmed with the same braid as the serge. Indeed, 2 or 3 Holland or linen dresses, made very simply, should be added to every child's wardrobe. The darlings, I love this, the darlings can amuse themselves so much more when they have nothing on likely to be spoiled by a little dirt, and get them at the same time into disgrace with nurse or mamma. So there is a nurse, like the nurse, the nanny, the governess. I think it's a great cruelty to dress children up in expensive dresses to satisfy our own vanity, and then scold them unmercifully if they get damaged. Red turkey twill trims Holland frocks very nicely and washes well. I have no idea what that just said, but that is a fun sentence to read. Red turkey twill trims Holland frocks very nicely and washes well. A broad sash of the twill looks very stylish. A good stock of warm stockings and thick-soled boots and shoes is very necessary to keep the feet dry, is one of the surest means to preserve the health of children and to avoid colds and their consequent evils. Flannel shirts and petticoats should be worn at all times, and underlinen is far more healthy made of linen than calico. And I don't know about anyone else, but whenever they mention flannel, I'm seeing lumberjack. I know that that's not what they're talking about, the lumberjack plaid that we now think of when we say flannel shirts, but that's what my head is doing. I don't know why you needed to know that, but it is a sleep podcast, so there you go. One golden rule to be observed in making all articles for children's wear is to give them plenty of room to move their limbs about freely. No tight sleeves or waistbands. Another is to buy everything of the best quality. It will be found cheaper in the end. Here I may mention that I consider Mrs. Adley Bourne of 37 Piccadilly a real friend to mothers. Every article of underclothing made by her is so scientifically cut and strongly sewn. As these little beings are always fond of sunshine, a quilted cotton sunbonnet is a very good invention for them. It must have a broad curtain at the back to protect the neck. These hoods are worn by girls at 12 and 13 years of age abroad and are very comfortable. A waterproof tweed jacket with hood and sleeves should be made so as to cover the frock entirely. And then this section ends, so I realize she's just talking about the little ladies, not the little boys. So we are staying on trend here of just talking about what to do for the ladies, even if they're little girls. All right, now we're going to move on to luggage. Well, here's my question. Do you think they have a ladies' maid? I mean, this woman cannot be packing her own luggage, right? I mean, there must be help involved. Like I'm thinking Downton Abbey, Anna taking care of Lady Mary. Okay, so luggage. The conventional overfilled dressing bag with silver mountain bottles, etc., is better left at home in all cases. The superfluous fittings take up too much room, make the weight great, and are always looked out for by thieves. In its place, I would take an expanding Gladstone bag to hold the following articles: nightdress, dressing gown, one change of linen slippers, house boots, collars and cuffs, box, tooth and nail brush, glycerin, and rosewater mixed. This latter is invaluable to prevent skin chapping. A box of good and pure toilet powder, a few simple medicines, a small housewife fitted with needles, pins, glove buttons, hooks, eyes, sewing silks, cottons, folding scissors, ditto corkscrew, ditto button hook. So I guess the housewife is the little case. The bag may be made with movable fitted division and center and of convenient size, not too large to be carried by oneself at a pinch, and ought at all times to be taken at once to one's room on arriving at a hotel. In the case of a very short stay, it is a great waste of time and trouble to unpack large boxes. A dress basket is very necessary. This should be covered with black sailcloth, not American leather, and contain in the tray a compartment for boots, also a bonnet box fixed. It is the better plan to inspect the basket work very carefully before it is covered. It should be of uniform thickness to resist hard wear and of the very best quality. This should, by skillful packing, be made with the assistance of the bag mentioned above to continue all that is strictly necessary for any 2 months' tour. Of course, where economy is not studied, the number of dresses can be increased at will. This is sounding very complicated. See, it was very complicated to be a lady back then. The basket I have in use was made by C.H. Stanbury, 91 Fleet Street, London, EC, after my own idea, with fixed basket work, bonnet box, etc. It has proved satisfactory in every way. The prices of these baskets range from 55 I don't know what that is. Would that be pence? To £4, sorry, being American here, £4, according to the size and finish. I saw the other day in Paris at a shop some ingenious traveling trunks, which I think would be very useful to ladies traveling without a maid. Oh, so we were talking about if you have a maid, and now for those who might not. Listen, if I'm going to time travel back there, I would like to have a maid. A lady's maid. They save all trouble. Okay, so let me restart that sentence. I think it would be very useful to ladies traveling without a maid. They save all trouble when requiring anything in a hurry. After opening the lid, the front of the trunk lets down, disclosing several tiers of drawers. One of the bottom ones being deep enough to hold dresses and a bonnet. At the top, there is the usual movable tray, as in all trunks. Of course, I do not yet know whether this combination of drawers and trunk would stand hard wear, but I have no doubt as to its convenience and comfort, lessening the fatigue of packing to a wonderful extent. In fact, after starting, it need never be unpacked, as articles can be replaced after use, as in an ordinary chest of drawers. And what is of great importance, nothing need get crushed. I also strongly advise taking a small lunch basket fully fitted with knives, large and small forks, glass, plates, and napkins. This can always be replenished at a very small cost from any hotel, and as the distance is often great between the railway buffets, it will be found a real pleasure and comfort to refresh exhausted nature when required. See, they're talking about road food snacks. You must have snacks for any sort of travel adventure, right? Nothing adds to the fatigue of traveling so much as hunger and thirst. Yes, a little fruit should not be forgotten. Okay, sidebar. What are your road trip snacks? Like when you're preparing for a road trip. I start off healthy. Like I pack healthy things in a cooler because I actually really need them. But usually, inevitably, a bag of Doritos winds up in the car. I don't know what it is about Doritos, but when I'm traveling long distances in the car, I get to have them. So I will put Doritos on my must-have for any sort of long-term travel. I will not take them on the plane, though. That is strictly automobile road trip food. On a plane, I try to pack more options in case we're stuck on the plane for hours. So some protein bars, some sort of snacky bits that pack easily. So, anyways, little sidebar on our road trip snacks, because I will be crabby if I am not well fed on the trip. And now we're going to be talking about wraps. So what kind of wraps we need? Take as many as can be conveniently strapped together, but I find one long waterproof tweed cloak made large enough to pass freely over any costume, worth half a dozen shawls. It must not be of the flimsy material called waterproof, sold at the usual drapery establishments, but the quality kept at Scotch warehouses, and by one or two tailors who have made comfortable traveling garments for ladies a specialty, the shape known as the Ulster Universal Cloak, with movable cape and hood, is excellent in every way. It is an invention of Mr. Benjamin, 38 Conduit Street, London, West. A large white umbrella, lined with blue or green, is requisite for all travelers, young or old, the clearness of the air in foreign lands rendering the sun's rays too powerful for eyes accustomed to the haziness of our English atmosphere, even on the finest days. All right, and we are going to end by reading a little bit of the next chapter called Souvenirs and Where to Buy Them. So souvenirs are always a big part of traveling, yes, especially for children. As a child, always looked forward to whatever souvenirs we got to pick out. I will say one bone of contention. There was always inevitably the place that had the name license plates. Never, ever, ever did they have Laurel. I love my name now. Did not love it as a child. I wanted to be named Tina because you could get Tina anything. I thought Tina was the grooviest name. So had I been able to change my own name when I was 7 years old, I would now be called Tina, which has nothing to do with souvenirs. I went there because of the license plate names. Did you get to have a license plate name Tchotchke when you were a kid? Let me know. Okay. Paris. We're going to talk about souvenirs in Paris. If I were going to Paris, the souvenirs I would want, I would go to a yarn store for sure. And I would just want food. Like I would want to take back condiments and whatever I could carry that would last. Okay, this is in French that I will mispronounce badly. I'm just going to say it like an American. Objects de luxe are exported from this World's Fair to all the chief towns in the universe. In the universe. In the universe. They have them on Mars. Okay, sorry. I'm towards the end of this recording, and apparently I am getting a little punchy. But this is great. They're exported from this World's Fair to all the chief towns in the universe immediately on their production, so that little is gained by purchasing anything at this early stage of the tour, with the exception, perhaps, of articles of dress. Those always differ in style from English-made goods and are invariably in perfect taste. There are several large drapers' establishments here. I will not pronounce the name because it's in French, and I will not do that well, are capital places for ladies to indulge in purchasing all kinds of lovely trifles to set off their traveling dresses or to send home as presents. Both keep a regular staff of English and American assistants, and prices are not exorbitant, as is usually the case in places where English spoken is conspicuously posted in the windows as a draw for travelers. If a taste for French millinery has to be indulged in, let it be in moderation, as anxiety of any kind is fatal to pleasure, and I know nothing more trying than a pretty bonnet reduced to a mass of incongruous tulle and flowers. Therefore, do not purchase any more than can be conveniently stowed away in a dress basket. An economical and very stylish milliner can be found at 22 Rue Vivienne, not far from the Grand Opera. Okay, how about Venice? So if we're going to Venice, this is what she recommends. Here wise people buy high-class photographs of Italian interest. They are most lovely, either from Naya or Ponti. Both their shops are situated in the Piazza San Marco. A visit to the numerous glassworks should not be forgotten, where charming little knickknacks are to be bought. Also necklaces of Venetian beads, and many things both useful and ornamental. In Florence, various objects are manufactured in marble statuary and mosaics, some not too large to prove an encumbrance when traveling. Therefore, they are great favorites with me, being always beautiful and lasting mementos of the pleasant hours sure to be spent in this queen of cities. Mosaic jewelry in very good patterns is to be found in many shops. In Sorrento, it is chiefly noted for inlaid wooden objects and various articles of underclothing made in silk. In Pisa, statuary models of the famous Leaning Tower, etc., fashioned out of alabaster, are very pleasing and are conveniently packed for transit home. Here I may mention that from all places in Italy, statuary, furniture, and other heavy articles had, of course, best be shipped to their destination. The shopkeepers are quite used to this, and in case of purchases of importance, are quite prepared to accept small payment on accounts, collecting the balance on the delivery of goods. Genoa. Few will leave Genoa without buying some of the renowned filigree work. The gilt lasts longer, and although perhaps not so delicate in appearance as the silver, is very beautiful. The latter turns black so very quickly in London. Beautiful lace and velvet may be had here. In Rome, some lovely unset cameos are to be bought at a very low price here, both in shell and various stones, and when mounted suitably in gold as brooches, earrings, lockets, sleeve links, etc., are useful and beautiful. Sashes and ties in the true Roman colors are in special shops. Imitation pearls are so skillfully and delicately made that if a careful choice be exercised, they cannot possibly be detected. But ladies must bear in mind these require the same care and keeping as the real ones, and if wiped carefully with tissue paper and then put in a tin of airtight box with layers of cotton wool, they will never lose their beauty. All through Switzerland in the Black Forest, an endless variety of objects in carved wood will be found. Also, all kinds of ornaments in onyx, jasper, cornelian lapis, etc. But as the patterns of these things are nearly identical all through this route, I recommend them to be purchased at the point nearest home. And that feels like a good place to end the exploration of this book for right now. So again, does that sound good to you? Or maybe would it have sounded good to you at a different time in your life? I don't know. I can't say. It's so hard to think about that from the perspective of this moment in my life. I definitely have always had a thirst for knowledge, of understanding and experiencing things. So these days, a lot of that curiosity and wanting to experience and learn is met because in the modern age, we can watch movies and videos and have access to so much reading material and listening to other people's experiences. And that level of immersing ourselves in that which we find fascinating was much harder to come by back then. So perhaps this curious nature of mine could have led me to wanting to travel more, because that would be the best way to understand and learn and experience. So maybe I would have traveled a lot more back then. Who knows? We'll never know. I can certainly say if I was living the life of my great-great-grandparents, I would not have traveled, because we would be poor Jewish people in Eastern Europe. So I would not be a lady of London with a lady's maid and a governess for my children. So I guess it all depends on what parts of our lives we pick to ship back with us into the Wayback Machine. Anyways, I just find it fascinating. So I hope that you have enjoyed our time together or gone to sleep and found it utterly sleepworthy So I thank you for listening and allowing me the honor of keeping you company. So, my beautiful friends, I wish you the sweetest of dreams. I wish you happiness and goodness, and I'm so deeply grateful for the gift of you. We'll be back together again soon. Thank you, and I love you.